Hello, everybody, and very welcome to Mentor and my Sunday night live stream. Very sorry about the slight delay, guys. It looks like there was some problems with the YouTube server settings, but I managed to figure it out. So here I am, and I'm all yours, as I always say. Guys, first of all, a very warm welcome to all of you new users, people who haven't seen these Sunday night live streams before. Basically, I'm here for you. I'm here to answer all of your questions. If it tends to be quite a lot of people that is pitching up here, so um, if you see that you're not getting through and you're not getting your question answered, then you can use either the Mentor Aviation app. Now we're almost 12,000 monthly users inside of the Mentor Aviation app now, so it's getting more and more. But you can use that. You can just tag Alpha Mentor and send a message there that will send a push notification to me, and I will be able to answer that. Or if you really want your question answered, then there's a little dollar symbol down here. It's called Super Chat. If you use that, you will be donating a little bit of money to the channel, which will go towards, for example, updating the app. And I am guaranteeing that I will be answering all of the questions that comes up on the Super Chat. So that's how it works. I see already Shane T. Pendrick has used the Super Chat, so thank you for you, Shane. And he's wondering if I know Dutch Pilot Girl. Yes and no. I have been in contact with her. Actually, I was in contact with her for the first Mentor 360 project, for the 360 video that I did with well, the first ones was the TCAS ones and the rejected takeoff that I eventually did with Holly. She was one of the first officers that I was in contact with for actually doing that, but it didn't really work out. We couldn't really get our rosters to match up, so it ended up being Holly instead. But I've been a little bit in contact with her, but I don't know her personally. So let's see. We'll get some questions answered here, and see if there's something coming up in the Mentor Aviation app. By the way, here is the Mentor Aviation app. As you can see, there's quite a lot of content in there already, and I'm gonna go into the chat now to see if there's anything in there. Tutu, what was your most interesting flight and why? All right, I've been flying for almost 16 years, guys. So there's been a lot of interesting flights. I've done, for example, I would think that the most interesting one for me personally was my delivery flight of a brand new 737 from Seattle to Dublin, 10-hour flight up over Canada, over Greenland, over Iceland, and then down to Ireland and into Dublin. It's a different type of flying. I haven't done any long haul, haven't done any transatlantic flights and stuff, so it was nice to do some oceanic flying. And obviously, it was completely awesome to pick up a brand new Boeing. Basically take the plastic off the seats and take it and deliver it. That was a fantastic flight. But I've also done some shorter flights. For example, I've done some empty flights from Girona down to Alicante during. Let's see. There seems to be problems still with the output, guys. If you see that it is, if it's not holding up, guys, then let me know. It might not be our day today. I'll see what we can do about it. Anyway, I hope you guys can still hear me. Tell me, can you hear me? Just write yes if you can. Is my internet just still not holding up very well here? Guys, can you hear me? Perfect, great. All right, so French Fruits is asking, hey, I'm a big fan. What are those nozzles in the center rear of some engines? Almost looks like the fuel dump nozzles on some wings. I'm not exactly sure which ones you're referring to here. I think that we might be looking at some temperature probes or something like that, but I'm not entirely sure, because I'm mainly used to the CFM56 that we are equipped with on the 737-800. I can have a look at it for you. If you just go into the Mentor Aviation app, send me an email there. You can just attach a photo, and I will try to figure it out for you, because I don't exactly know which nozzles we're talking about here. Sorry about that, but that's the way it is. There's so many different types of engines and things that I wouldn't be. I don't want to sit here and guess. That's one of the things that I always tell people who are about to become instructors. That it's better to look things up than to say stuff that you don't know anything about and guess. You know. Jose F, hi there. If we have a 737 fully loaded with maximum takeoff weight, how long of the runway should be to allow it to take off? No need to be exact, just approximately. Um, we can generally, on full power, we can take off with a fully loaded 737, you know, as in maximum takeoff weight of about 70, 72 tons or 75 tons. The maximum we have in our fleet is 78 tons. We'll probably need around 2,000 meters, so just above that at maximum thrust to do it. But it also depends on things like temperature outside, headwind components, and things like that, obviously. But on zero wind, normal 15-degree day, I'd say a completely max, yeah, around 2,000 or just above that would probably be needed for maximum takeoff thrust, or sorry, for maximum takeoff weight. Jack Woods, thank you very much for supporting in the channel. Great to see you all here. So, Cloudman in the Mentor Aviation app. Mentor, in your career, have you noticed any difference between modular and integrated pilots in any way? No, actually, I haven't. Okay, it's up to the individuals, and even though the schools and the integrated schools, let's say if you go to one of the big major UK schools like Oxford or CTC, what used to be called CTC anyway, they tend to have very, very good instructors, very good training and everything. But the modular guys, the guys that have gone through modular training, tends to have really good stamina because they have been looking after their own training, and they might have been switching through schools and they've been studying at home and things like that, which means that they have a very good personality, and that makes up for a lot. And actually, I have been part of a study myself, and I think I mentioned this before. I've been part of a study um, where we compared modular students to integrated students, as in I went through almost 900 different students, cadets that gone through our airline, and we compared how many sectors they had been using on line training, if they had any extra sessions in the simulator, how many touch and go landings they needed for their base training, basically everything that you can imagine. We went in and we looked through and we made proper charts and stuff and graphs to see if there were any indications. And what we came up with after all of that work had been done was that actually there was no conceivable difference between the two. There were, you know, some flight schools which had slightly lower quality than other flight schools, as if we were just going through the statistics of it. But apart from that, there was no difference between modular students and integrated students, and that's really, really good. That's what we were hoping to see. So that's the answer to that. Earth is flat and space doesn't exist, from someone using, I would say that is Japanese. No, it isn't, and yet, yes, it does. All right. So we just have that covered, right? I'm not going to even go into that discussion. If you guys would know, if you had any idea how many messages I get every day from people who thinks that the earth is still flat in 2018, and the only thing you need is just to go and flush your toilet and you'll see that the toilet swirls. Sorry, the water in the toilet swirls. And the only way that it would do that is because the water is on a planet who is rotating. Okay? You would, if the toilet, if the earth was flat, you wouldn't actually get any swirls in the toilet. That's as far as you need to go in order to see that the earth is actually round, all right? So I'm not going to even bother to go into it further than that. How much do you get paid a year? That is a very personal question, all right? I cannot actually, I'm not even supposed to go out with those kind of figures. Definitely not on an internet forum, all right? The only thing I can say is that it is a very good salary. I am working, you know, this is my 16th year in the same airline. And I am a base type rating examiner and an instructor, line training captain. So my salary is good, right? That's the only thing that I can say. But it's not rock star kind of crazy buying my own jets, you know, having 5 different houses good. That's the thing that you have to understand, that you can, if you get into this occupation and you do walk the ladder up and you get consistently more. You start as a junior first officer, or even as a second officer. You become a first officer and a senior first officer and a captain and a line training captain and a type rating instructor and a type rating examiner. and even a chief pilot, you can walk that upwards, okay? But it will never become rock star money. You will not get Tiger Woods salaries, all right? Um, you will get salaries though that are more than enough to support your family, to go on holidays, to buy whatever food that you want to eat without looking that close on the prices. So basically, you will be able to have a good, well-funded life with a nice house and a nice car. But like I said, you shouldn't go into this occupation just for the money, because a, it's going to take you quite a while to reach high levels of income, and b, it's even then you are going to be upper middle class kind of money. That's where it is. And another thing that you have to remember is that in most cases, since you will be working very strange hours, maybe being away a lot, it's unlikely that your spouse is going to be able to have a normal job, at least if you have a family. So that means that you will have one income less than a normal household that you need to compensate for. So all of these things are really important to keep in mind when you're thinking about becoming a pilot. Right, let's see. There's loads of super chat questions coming up here. I'm gonna start from the beginning here. What is your opinion of the new Ryanair cadet scheme? Uh, First of all, generally speaking, I'd never talk about individual airlines or terms and conditions inside specific airlines. But since this has become a big news thing over the last few weeks, I might as well say something about it. I have continuously, throughout the existence of this channel, I've been trying to push airlines and flight schools to find good solutions for you guys, people who wants to become pilots but maybe are not rich and doesn't have rich parents. Okay, I have always said that I support any organization that finds a solution to these problems, all right, that helps out with the financing issue. Because my view as a line training captain and as a type rating examiner is that we need to get the right stuff in, all right? We don't need to get the rich stuff in, we need to get the right stuff in. And it's very possible that you might find the most suitable candidates coming from families without any money at all. So if an organization does what Ryanair did, which is to basically go in and take away the cost of the type rating, but bond people for a certain amount of years. I don't know. I think it's 5 years or 7 years or something like that. I think that is a step in the right direction, and I do applaud that. Okay. Um, Now, that of course is only a step in the right direction. The next step would be to actually fund the training from the beginning, not just the type rating. But it's definitely, instead of you having to fork out 30,000 euro and you now, for I don't know what the cost is now, but I think it's between 4 or 5,000 euros for the complete, just the entry into the to the type rating, and the rest is paid by the airline. Once again, I don't know exactly. Now, this is driven not by me. I wish that was the case, but it is driven by necessity. It is driven by the fact that the airlines need more pilots, and the only way to get it is by increasing terms and conditions and lowering the cost of training. So this is a good indicator. Now, I've been saying for the last 2 years that I see a looming shortage of pilots. Okay, not everywhere, but in certain industries, in certain global points, I see a potential problem, because there's loads of aircraft coming in. The low fare airlines, the Chinese airlines, have all ordered loads and loads of aircraft. They all need to be flown by someone, and the terms and conditions have been constantly falling for the last 2 decades. So this becomes kind of like a perfect storm, where all of a sudden there are no people training to become pilots anymore because it's too expensive and it doesn't pay as much as it should, and there's loads of aircraft that needs to be flown. This is what's happening then, all right? So this is an indicator that what I've been saying for the last 3 years actually is about to come true. And I think that we're going to see more and more of this. I think we're going to see proper cadet programs being opened up by airlines who will sponsor pilots from the beginning, as from zero to hero, all right? And that's what I'm hoping for. So the answer to your question is, I think it's a good step, and it's a step in the right direction, and I applaud it. Matthew, thank you very much for your contribution. Gamer FTV 184, hi. Why does pilots and ATC say Alpha, Bravo, etc.? That is because we need to be clear. When you speak on the radio, it needs to be clear what it is that you're talking about. So if we need to, for example, give a code, for example, the name of the ATIS information, the weather information that you get, they are coded by letters, okay? Because every 20 minutes there's a new weather report coming out, and since we might not have heard the last one, the only way for air traffic control to know if we've heard the last one or if there's a new one in between is that we say, for example, that we've listened to information alpha. Okay. Other uses of the phonetic alphabet, which is what it's called, is, for example, taxiways. The taxiways are normally named Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, and so on. For us to be able to know what air traffic control clearly instruct us to do, if they tell us to, for example, Mentor 360, taxi via Whiskey 1, hold short of Sierra 3, okay? We need to properly hear it, and the phonetic alphabet is a way of doing that. So that's why we're using Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, and so on. You plan to get to chief pilot? No, I don't really see that happening. My strength is to be a chief pilot, you need to be a very good politician, as well as a good pilot. Okay, you need to be able to handle, for example, management. They need to be able to listen to you. Need to be able to understand which fights you're going to take and not. And it's a lot of administrative duties that you need to fulfill toward. You are going to be the post holder against the authorities, which means that if anything happens to anything in the airline, you are the ultimately responsible pilot. So you need to work a lot with manuals, a lot with flight crew instructions, paperwork basically. So you're gonna more or less stop flying, without, except doing a few flights a year maybe, and that's not really my cup of tea. So no, I don't really see that happening. However, I do feel that what I'm doing now through this channel and through the Mentor Aviation app, through Facebook, through Twitter, through Instagram, that is something that I'm actually quite good at. I like being able to speak directly to you guys and answer your questions. And if I can't answer it, I want to find ways for you to find the answer to your question. That's what I'm doing in the Mentor Aviation app. I'm trying to connect you with other airline pilots from other companies or school representatives of schools that you might be interested in going to. So this is something I like. All right, I do like the communication bit of being a pilot, as well as training. Training is something that I live for, that I'm passionate about. So if anything, I would see myself going up into the training department even further, but that's where I'm going to go. Canadian B 2007, thank you very much, as well as Jehovah Rafa. Do pilots look down their nose at ramp workers? Well, I certainly do. I certainly don't. I can't speak for other pilots, is what I wanted to say. And the reason I do not look down at ramp personnel is because I used to work as a ramper myself. For a few years, I was working in both in Sundsvall in northern Sweden and in Västerås, which is close to Stockholm. I was, ramping, both working as an airport firefighter and as a ramp worker myself. So I know, first of all, the hard work they do, and second of all, the big security part of their job, making sure that there's nothing improper getting on board on the aircraft, that the aircraft is loaded properly, that keep track of bags, and things like that. And of course, many of them also work as firefighters. So no, in order for you to be a good pilot, well, in order for you to be good at anything that you do, you need to respect the people around you. If you do not respect the people around you, then they will not respect you. And your work is going to be twice as hard. You need to understand that everyone around you, from the person who washes the toilets in the crew room to the chief pilot, have a certain role and they fit into a certain part and they're part of the machine that you are a part of as well. And if one part of that machine breaks down, the whole machine will work less, okay, will be worse off. So as long as you think about that and you realize that everyone around you probably is doing their best, then everything will work better for you. Okay, this is really important stuff that I'm saying now, because this doesn't only go towards becoming a pilot. This goes for everything. When you're in school and you look at your teachers or the janitors in your school, whatever, remember that those guys have done a lot of things in order to get where they are. They've taken a lot of different solutions, or taken a lot of different decisions, I want to say, that brought them to the place they are, and you should respect them for it. All right, very important. Are there any roles in an airline company for pilots past the retirement age? Maybe being a classroom trainer or something, from Jordan Coles. Thank you, Jordan. Yeah, there tend to be. But the thing is, most pilots actually do want to retire even before 65, which is the mandatory retirement age. But after that, there is something called SFE. For example, I could be an SFE, a synthetic flight examiner, where I could continue to, even though I can't hold a license anymore, I could continue to work as both an instructor and as an examiner in flight training roles, and other stuff in flight planning and things like that is obviously available as well if you want to work for that. But I personally hope that I can kind of go around and poke in my garden and maybe do the odd simulator session, and that's it. I hope that I won't have to fly unless I really want to. Okay. From Chad Öman, what's your favorite route to fly? I don't have any favorite routes per se. All right, the routes all have their own kind of interesting parts of it. I like routes that are, around an hour and a half in length, because it's good from a training point of view. You have enough time to get up, maybe debrief a little bit, talk a little bit, do the briefing, and then descend again, and without getting boring. So the inter-European routes from Girona to maybe Germany, south of England, are great. I like flying inside of Spain as well. I flew to Vigo a couple of times during the last couple of months, and that was great. It's beautiful. It's like flying into Middle Earth from the Lord of the Rings. Um, but otherwise, Malta is great to fly to. Very uncomplicated, very little mountains, long runway, good ATC, and nice approach aids from both directions, which is something that we do appreciate after a while when you're a pilot. Jason Kitchen, thank you very much for contributing, and Marcus Theak as well. Great channel. Keep up the good work. I will. And by the way, guys, I want to hear from you. Now, I have a few more episodes that I want to do on my 737 specific series, okay? Like, yeah, fun stuff or things that you didn't know about the 737. So there are a couple of more episodes coming that way. But I also want to know, what else are you guys interested in knowing? What do you want me to talk about? Feel free to go into the chat now, both in the Mentor Aviation chat. You can send me messages directly there. Even if you're going to submit feedback on the app, that will send me an email directly, so you can do that as well. Because I'm really interested in knowing what you guys are curious about. Are there noises, for example, that you would like to get more explained? Technical details, procedures, things like that. I will be happy to help with whatever I can, right? Because this channel constantly need to evolve. Vlogs, yeah. I know you got one vlogs. The problem, or vlogs. The problem is there's very little time for me to do vlogs, especially when I'm training. I've been trying to do it. I've been trying to do vlogs, but it's so much work, and when I'm training, I just cannot do it. All right, and I also need permission. And I guess you guys want to see me flying. I need specific permission directly from the chief pilot to do that, because that includes using personal electronic devices in the cockpit, and that actually needs approval before doing. But other stuff like how I became a pilot, daily routines, stuff like that, that I can do. How do pitot tubes work? Well, pitot tubes, to get the proper, like, technical description of this, just Google it. You will find a Wikipedia page that will explain it much better than I can do in a short time. But basically, it measures the difference between between the static and the dynamic pressure. All right, so it's a tube that takes in the dynamic pressure, basically the speed of the aircraft, and it compares it with the static pressure, which is the still air pressure outside. and it makes it calculates the difference between the two, and it transgress that into to airspeed, which is the speed that we can see. Okay, it also does some more stuff, like the air data computer is computing the compressibility effect because of Mach numbers at higher speeds and things like that. But that becomes very, very. But in essence, that's what it does. It's just feeling how quickly the aircraft is moving in relation to the surrounding air. So Daniel Bengtsson on the super chat. Hi Mentor, Boeing 777X has a different flexible solution to the wingtips. Why does it not have ordinary winglets as most other aircraft? Well, it does, but the problem with the 777X is that what Boeing tried to achieve with that aircraft was to have an ultra long haul aircraft that could carry even more passengers. The problem was that it needed bigger wings to do that. Okay, but airports are not built for aircraft with a bigger wingspan than what actually existed. The see, all right, we're just waiting for it to come back again. All right, guys, just tell me if you can see me. I think it is popping back up again. It's my Spanish internet, so you guys probably are used to this by now. Can you see me? Just tell me yes if you do. All right, cool. So it's coming back. Great. Yeah. So to continue answering your question, the the wingtips, basically the wingspan of the 777X was too big. It was bigger than the 380. And because of that, it couldn't be accommodated on normal taxiways in airports, which normally have a maximum wingspan. Okay, so the foldable wingtips is a solution for that. It's a solution for the airport. It's not a solution for it's not has nothing to do with winglets. It's only a solution for wingtip clearance, basically. And that's the answer to that. Man, I'm losing my voice early this evening. Right, let's see from the Mentor Aviation app then. So, Phil the pilot, Mentor, I have 3 questions. Well, I can only see 2, so I'm going to answer them. Do you have to buy your own uniform, or does your airline pay for it? And is it tailored suit? And how many do you have? Right, great. I have my airline have sold it like this. They've told us that they provide the uniforms. All right, it is tailor made. You go to a tailor, you get the measurements, you send it in, you get the uniform. However, we do pay for it, but we do get money for it. So the airline, in my case, for example, is paying about 5,000 euros per year. That should cover medical expenses, that should cover license expenses, and that should cover uniform, and to a certain extent also hotel when we go for our recurrent training. So instead of having to hire a lot of people to do all of this, to be kind of a uniform department that's looking after it, my airline said, what we're going to do is we're just going to pay you a little bit more money than it actually costs, and then you can choose how you are going to distribute that yourself, but it's going to be up to you. Okay, so that's how my airline is shown. But yes, it is tailor made, and I only have one uniform jacket, but I have several pants and loads of shirts. So that's generally how it works. I hope that makes sense to you. Right, Paul, Matthew, thank you very much in the super chat. Good morning, Mentor. Good evening. At least from the Philippines. I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic. My question is, what was your worst experience mid-air? Keep up the good work. Worst experience mid-air. I had let's see now if I can come up with something. I mean, normally worst experiences tend to be during the approach phase. Like I've had times, for example, where there has been unforecasted thunderstorms appearing both over my destination and closing in on my alternate, and has put me in a position where I very quickly have to decide whether or not I can even try going to my destination, and going to my alternate, and the fuel starts running out fairly quickly when you have those kind of decisions to make. That tends to be the worst case scenario, because all other scenarios you plan for. Technical difficulties I haven't had that many of. I've had some flat problems and stuff, but it hasn't been bad. I did have a medical emergency last year that was also combined with low visibility at the place that we had to divert to, or actually go to, and a bird strike that bent the wing, the leading edges on one of the wings during the landing with the medical emergency. So the bad things tends to come in groups when you do this work. You can fly without anything happening for several months, and then all of a sudden you have three things happening at the same flight. That tends to be the case. But general, those are the kind of things that I can come up with just off the top of my head like that. Right, more Tweak Lab. Thank you very much. In your cabin pressure loss video for emergency descent, you had pop-up saying to set TCAS from RA to TA. Disabling RA seems unsafe. No, but there is a reason for that. It's because, let's see, now did we do that on the emergency descent one? Because we do need because on the engine failure videos, then you do have to take TA or RA to TA only. But on the emergency descent one, we set 7700, but we do not disable TARA, I believe. That might be an error. I have to check that out, all right? Because if it is, then that might be an error. Just give me 1 second, okay? Aha! So, let's see what it says here then. For emergency descent, you say? Emergency descent without, let's see, announced. Emergency descent announced. So, pilot flying will advise the cabin crew and the PA system. Okay, passenger signs on. Engine start should continuous, thrust levels reduce, speed brake, flight intent. No, nothing in there about that. So that might be an error if that's in there. But I'm gonna have to look it up, that exact video. Okay. So next question. If someone is in a wheelchair, how are they evacuated? Well, if someone is in a wheelchair, if there's time available, the cabin crew will assign someone to help that passenger. So we will find an able-bodied person who can jump in and who can take the responsibility of lifting that person out or helping that person out. So, or several people helping out. So that is essentially how it's going to be done if it's needed. If no time available, then probably the cabin crew will, as the last ones aboard, help the passenger if it hasn't had been helped by other people on the way out. So there are procedures for this, but obviously if something catastrophic happens like that, there's no time to actually apply those procedures properly. So you're gonna have to kind of work it on a case-to-case basis. But that's the way that my cabin crew is being trained to do it anyway. Right, Scott Cole. How do credit card machines works at 37,000 feet? That's a great question. Generally speaking, they are connected, and I believe that the transactions are being stored and then sent off as soon as they have mobile connection again. So everything will be stored and it will be sent off. And in the case of my airline, you will get your credit card receipt. If you go in and you log in with your ticket number or your seat number on the flight, you can get the credit card receipt the receipt that way. Right, let's see. Yeah, I know that it's lagging, guys. I think that it's my internet. It's my great Spanish mobile internet that is not holding up properly. Sam, the Ryanair man on the Mentor Aviation app. Mentor, does your airline do in-flight PAs like weather updates for arrival airfields? Every time I've flown with your airline, there has only been PA for departure. Why is that? They should. All right. The answer is that we should be doing PAs, arrival PAs, just like every other airline. But if it's a really, really short flight, we're not allowed to make PAs during the descent. So if we are, for example, if I'm training and I'm focusing on letting my cadet, for example, do a proper descent and approach briefing, we might skip the descent PA, okay? And that has to do with the fact that I want to focus on making sure that the pilot is being properly trained and that they have time to do a proper briefing. And we might not do it because we're not allowed to do the PA when we're starting to descend, all right? This is different. Some airlines do approve of that, but we keep a very strict sterile cockpit during descent and approach. We don't want to do anything that doesn't have to do directly with the safety of the aircraft at that point. So this is might be why you can hear you might hear it more on a flight that is more than, say, an hour long. There should be room to make a proper descent PA, and they should do it. That's the answer. Mock, how did you find loan for training? I didn't have to. I was lucky enough to be accepted into a government-sponsored program in Sweden who paid for it all. So I actually didn't pay for my training, which was great. The Swedish taxpayers did, which I am eternally grateful for. I did, however, pay for my type rating, which was about 30,000 euro, and that my parents had to take a loan on their house in order to pay for that, which is I paid it back within a couple of years, but it was still not something that I felt was great at the time. From Artideg on the super chat, how many hours is in your books? How many different type ratings do you hold currently? I only hold the one, a 737-300 to 900 is what I'm holding. And hours in my book is about a little bit over 10,000 hours in total. But I've been spending several thousand hours in the simulator as well. So if I would have been flying full time, I probably would have been close to 14,000 hours at this point. But I have been quite a lot of time in the simulator as well. So that's great. Right, guys, we're getting close to 11 o'clock here, which means that it's time for me to start looking at going to bed. Going to my wife, which I'm sure is waiting for me. Let's see, I'll take some more questions from both the Mentor Aviation app here. But by the way, guys, I want you now, if you don't have the app, I want you to see down here in the description of the video, there are links to download the Mentor Aviation app. It's completely free. Register yourself, enable push notifications, and go in there, ask your questions there, okay? I have been in there during the weekend. I've sent out push saying that I'm available in the chat, and I've been chatting with loads of people during the weekend. And there's loads of other things in there that you can benefit from. So I do want I want as many as possible. We have 12,000 every month now. I want more than that because I want this app to be the aviation app, okay? And the money that I'm getting in from the channel now and I'm getting in from the app and stuff, I am planning a major update to the app. Soon as I can get that properly funded, I will go for it, but it's going to cost me probably close to 20,000 euros to do. So that's why it's taking a little bit of time. I need to find that somewhere. Right, guys, let's see. Let's take a few more questions here from the Mentor Aviation app before we go. Willie in the sky. Yes, I'm on the stream and in the app. Good man. Mentor, what are your views on the 777X? I loved your latest video. Well, I haven't actually read up too much on the 777X. I think it looks cool. The 777 in itself is a really cool aircraft. The 777X being able to fly longer, everything, it's great. Okay. Right. So I can see my internet is coming up and down now all the time. So I don't know how long I'll be able to keep this up, guys. Right, so Mentour Pilot, I love your channel, but I have a weird question to ask you. Why do you choose to be a pilot when there any other job? Yeah, that's because I was bitten by the bug. All right, when I was 14 and I got my first test lesson, and I went up and I flew together with my dad and a flight instructor, and he let me land the aircraft. that was it for me. Once you have gotten the aviation bug, it's very hard to get rid of it. All right. Basically, the only thing in my mind from that point onwards was how to become a pilot in the quickest possible way. And I'm guessing that some of you guys who are watching this stream probably know exactly what I'm talking about. There was no other jobs for me. All right. That's the simple and honest answer to that question. All right, guys, I hope that I've answered all of your super chat questions. What I'm going to do now actually is I am going to go to bed because tomorrow I'll be working. I have some paperwork that I need to do for the company actually, and I'm also going to be planning for the next upcoming couple of videos. I will be going to Thailand in 2 weeks, so there will be. I'm hoping that I'll be able to do a couple of videos that I'll send out during that time, or there might be some reruns of some videos that I think that you guys have missed. Okay, but I will be working on the channel, making sure that you have new fresh stuff coming up on Friday. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Get the Mentour Aviation app right now and go in there, join the discussions. It's great people in there, many pilots who wants to show and share their experience as well. Have an absolutely fantastic evening, guys, and I'll see you next time. Hi, guys. So I was just being made aware by the Mentor Aviation app here that I've missed some super chat question. So I'm gonna have to go back, scroll back here to make sure that I haven't missed anything. Uh, uh, Paying for emergency exit seats, your opinion. Ah, great. So that's one of them. Sorry, very sorry from Lieutenant Jeff. Paying for emergency exit seat, your opinion. Well, I mean, airlines can ask for whatever they want when it comes to what they want to pay for, or what they want their customers to pay for. I understand it because the emergency exit seats tend to be, more roomy. So I understand the thinking behind it. I do, however, think that they have to be very careful when they do charge people extra for that, to make sure that there are people who actually can sit there, like not kids, for example, or not people who won't be able to use normal seat belts and things like that. So I don't really have anything against it, but they have to be very careful to make sure that people can do it. Okay, can sit there. Erik Eisenheim, thank you so much for your podcast. I'm a law student who has a geeky fascination with air travel. I'm not a fan of Airbus side stick. Nah, from what I can understand, the side stick actually is pilots who have been trying the side stick actually get used to it very quickly. That's what I've heard. I don't like the way that it looks. I like a proper kind of yoke because I'm a Boeing pilot, but I do understand that the side stick has some quite good benefits of it as well, and I like the fact that there's more room, for example, to have a proper planning desk in front of you, or being able to have a meal without having your meal in your knee. So I do understand that. Will a Bachelor of Science in Aviation Engineering give you an advantage to get hired into Cathay Pacific Cadet Pilot Program? Now, I am not sure. When it comes to specific cadet programs and entry requirements into specific cadet programs, you basically have to go in and you have to see what the requirements are. And if you are, if you have all of the requirements, then I don't think that necessarily some other degree is going to help you over someone else. However, and I keep saying this in almost all of my live streams, it is great to have a background. Okay, it's great to have a degree of some sort in case you would need it if the aviation dream doesn't work, or you might be able to use it inside of the aviation career to tweak, to do something slightly different. Maybe be a pilot and be a technical pilot, for example, be a test pilot at some point, things like that. So I do recommend everyone who has the time and energy to take a degree to actually do it. And some airlines, especially in the US, for example, will require you to have a degree. They don't specify normally what kind of degree, but they just want you to show that you have the stamina to get yourself through a degree. So I think it's a great idea. Have you ever declared a mayday? Tell us about it. Or if you haven't, what was the scariest event you experienced as a pilot? I kind of touched that earlier on. Scariest events tends to be unexpected weather changes that kind of comes in when you don't have enough fuel and you haven't planned for it. I have declared Mayday, but it has been medical Maydays. It hasn't been technical Maydays. Medical Maydays doesn't really. I mean, you try your best to get down as quickly as you can to save the passenger. Of course, that's what you do. But it's not like the one engine hanging off and you're fighting for dear life. You're doing your absolute best. You're very concentrated, but you're not scared. All right. I think those are all of the questions that I missed. I do really, really apologize. I hope that you guys who actually asked these questions are still here to watch it right now. This happens when there's a lot of. I basically, even the super chat questions are scrolling by really, really quickly. So I might miss them. And I want to say this as well. If you do find that you ask a question on the super chat and I do miss answering it, well then I want you to go into my Facebook or into the Mentour Aviation app. Send me an email. Just tell me that you had a super chat question that I didn't answer, and I will contact you. I even went as far as contacting a guy on Skype last week that I'd missed to answer that question directly to him, because I really, really do appreciate your support in this, guys. And that is, yeah. So I will not continue that any longer because I'm still on my way to bed. Once again, thank you very much for watching and have an absolutely fantastic evening. I really hope that I haven't missed any other super chat questions now.